Streets of Hollywood Boulevard, seeking his prey.
He comes from a planet very far away.
Bigfoot does not exist.
We're flying into a hole in the sky. There's nothing I can do to stop it. It's sucking us in.
The limits of the third dimension must be transcended by negating the forces of duality and ascending into unity.
Our system known as Reticulum.
The Creepy and Weird Podcast, brought to you by Hippie Steve.
Billy, get to the chopper. Yeah. Who is your daddy and what does he do? Welcome to Creepy and Weird. I am your host. I mean, I can only think of so many rhymes. You know, maybe I'll take a rhyme from my last little dilly I did at the beginning of the last podcast. Terror illustrates my error. Now I can't hang around my mama 'cause I scare her. Love that song. But my name is Hippie Steve, and thank you for watching another episode of this podcast. It's great to be back. We're trying to do these a little bit more consistently, especially as I have stuff to talk about. You know, I've been going a lot into, CERN and, the Kali Yuga and your right brain versus left brain, how BMAC is a real person. It's a little bit of a different setup. I still have my flowers where I'm tiptoeing through the tulips, my little ukulele. But yeah, lot of exciting stuff. God, I'm kind of getting a little wet mouth here, sorry. But no, we're really, really looking excited for the upcoming podcast that we're going to do. The next podcast that we'll be doing, we will, hopefully, if everything works fine, if BMAC pulls through, which he's going to be the man behind the curtain on that one for sure. He's always the man behind the curtain, but, technical stuff with computers, all this crap, I don't get it. BMAC does. So we'll be hopefully doing our next podcast. That will be our first ever interview with a person that I still don't want to say who this person is because I don't want to jinx myself. But I'm getting wet mouth again. Sorry. Yeah, I can't believe it. I'm pinching myself because I'm dreaming. Or at least I hope I'm not dreaming, even if I am dreaming. What's the difference between a dream and reality? Am I a butterfly or am I a man? Let's not get Taoist here. But I'm just so excited. And yeah, obviously, like I said, I got the flowers in the background, but it's a little bit different of a setup. We're trying to get a little bit more professional. And, as the saying goes, we keep riding this train of the absurd until the wheels fall off, baby. And so, yeah, this is going to be kind of a different episode. I mean, I have talked about politics a little bit in past podcasts, but I haven't really dedicated completely to politics, because this isn't a political podcast. This is a paranormal / comedy, supposed comedy podcast. But, I think it's safe to say that politics is sort of paranormal, at least in my opinion. I think things are just getting really weird right now. especially as the election season starts. We're heading more and more into November, man. And I don't know. I think I've said my piece. I'm kind of on that George Carlin frame of mind where I don't vote. I know people say, oh, if you don't vote, you can't complain. Well, motherfucker, I'm complaining. Complaining about a lot of stuff. And not that I'm going to be doing much complaining, but I am going to show you in this episode kind of the absurdity of politics. Because, I'm sure you already see what the title of this episode is. This podcast, I should say. And so, but, we're still trying to be entertaining here. So before I begin with all that, BMAC, you got anything? You want to talk about anything? Are you voting this November? You're voting? Who are you going to vote for? Like Ralph Nader? Is that guy still around? Is Ross Perot still around? Does he have like his 900 number still? That guy was actually alright. If you look into it. I was young when he was trying to run, but looking into the stuff that he was talking about, man, that guy was pretty on to something. And Ralph Nader was cool. Ross Perot was cool. Jesse Ventura used to be cool. We'll talk about him in a little bit. I was kind of rooting for Andrew Yang there for a little bit. I don't want to be stereotypical here, but I think if we have like a Asian American as a president, I think that would look pretty good with us for diplomatic reasons. China is becoming the next superpower, and I'm pretty sure Andrew Yang is from Chinese descent. So if we could have got him as president, that would have had a good look, but it doesn't look like that's going to be the case. I think he's doing a podcast. So, I don't know. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about Andrew Yang, part of the Yang Gang. But, personally for me, I have given up on politics, and there's a lot of reasons why I have given up on politics. I've said it in past podcasts, but, I've gone the whole 9 yards with politics. I was raised in a conservative family. I just missed the 2004 election to vote for Bush. I would have voted for Bush, believe it or not. But forgive me, I was 17 and dumb. First person I actually voted for was Arnold Schwarzenegger. Maybe that's why I did a little impression of him. Who is your daddy and what does he do? Billy! Stick around. That guy, I don't know what's going on with him. He's hanging out with like donkeys and shit, which, hey, more power to him. Whatever. It has nothing to do with Arnold Schwarzenegger. It has nothing to do with Andrew Yang. Right now, to be honest with you, it is 2:21 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. I'm feeling a little loopy right now. And I decided that it's just a good time to talk. It's always good to work late at night. It was actually Nikola Tesla who said when you're doing your creative endeavors, it's always best to do it at night because things are more quiet. The cosmic forces are working more and more. And I don't always do podcasts this late. I typically like to do them around, I don't know, no time before 9 o'clock p.m. This probably is the latest podcast I've ever done. So forgive me if I sound a little kooky, but whatever. This is my podcast. I can do whatever I want. Actually, it's funny, the last podcast I did about CERN, I finally got my first, not hate mail, but I got a comment from somebody on, what's that called, Reddit? I know Reddit's kind of like the gates of hell. But this guy was really ticked off at me about Oh, I didn't do my research. Oh, CERN is a French word. It's not a Swedish word. You need to do your research. You're not really reading notes. Bro, have you watched any of my podcasts? Do I look like somebody that does in-depth research? I'm the crazy guy at the gas station who talks about, freaking the government's ran by lizard people and shit like that. Not that I really think that. YouTube gods. But, I'm the equivalent of that. I'm your crazy uncle. Let's just put it that way. I'm old enough. 37 years old. And I think most people who watch my podcast are either my age or older. But I can still be your uncle. Uncle Steve. Old hippie Steve. But I ain't nobody's daddy. Make no mistake about that. I'm certainly nobody's grandfather. I'm getting some grays. Yet again, it's 2:23 a.m., so I'm a little kooky. Let me wet my whistle a little bit. Just give me a little tradition I do here. Me. Still might look like a beer, like it's a Coors, straight from the Rocky Mountains, but it's not. It's just another variation of a diet soda. Hey, just curious, because I grew up in Los Angeles, we always called soda. But I noticed when I moved up here to Portland, everybody calls soda pop. Hey, you got any pop? Let me know in comments. You call it soda or you call it pop? Because I have a problem calling soda pop. If you call it soda, I'm fine with that. If you call it pop, whatever. Now, if you're calling it soda pop, what are you, like in the 50s? You go into what do they call that? Go to a soda jerk? What do they call those places? Like a jerk store? It's late at night if I haven't mentioned that already. And I do have notes, contrary to popular belief. BMAC is right over here, staying up with me, contrary to popular belief. And yeah, we're just keep on keeping on. And yeah, we're going to talk about something. Make no mistake about it. I'm just having thoughts flowing through my head, because the brain is a transmitter. The cosmos is like the internet, just flowing through me. I'm not wearing a beanie, not wearing the Mack truck diesel, just showing off my Palone head, kind of getting that George Carlin receding hairline, which I embrace. Be cool if I could become the next George Carlin to a certain degree. I don't think I could have his enthusiasm, but whatever. But what's this going to be about, BMAC? Because you're the one that told me to talk about this. Oh yeah, politics. This episode will be dedicated to politics. Why are we going to be talking about politics? Well, because the election's right around the corner. And everybody seems to be going out of their goddamn minds. People are like, Trump has to win. What's her name? I don't want to... Kamala. Is that an olive? Kamala Harris and... Tim Pool? Isn't that her vice president? Is that guy? Tim Waltz? I have no idea who that guy is. He's from Minnesota. And so I guess Jesse Ventura supports him. I have no idea about the guy. I barely know about Kamala Harris. I had no idea she existed until 5 minutes ago, I guess. Probably a little bit longer than that, but, just crazy. Kali Yuga, folks. We're living in Kali Yuga. People, honest to God, think, You vote for Kamala Harris. She's going to change everything. We're going forward. We're not going backward. Wasn't that in, like, The Simpsons? You know, twirling towards freedom? You know, abortions for everybody, abortions for nobody, or however that went. You know, don't blame me, I voted for Kodos. You know, The Simpsons predicted it. This is what we're doing right now. This is just, it's fucking dumb. Politics are broken. Society is broken. I'm telling you that right now. Okay? Take it from me. A person who's been paying attention to politics since I was 17 goddamn years old. And I voted for Obama twice. I supported Bernie Sanders. And Hillary Clinton, you know, don't even want to get mentioned about her. Actually did support her a long time ago. Mostly because she was a woman and I wanted a woman president, kind of like Jesse Ventura, but then I realized that's stupid. Why would we want to vote for somebody based off of their gender? You know, I don't care if it's a guy or a girl or a pansexual or a they, them. I mean, for all I care, the next president of the United States could be a crackhead, blind midget that has mental deficiencies. But if that fucker knows what he's doing or what she's doing, by all means, black crackheaded midget. Let's do it. I think we'd be better off. You know? Now it's 2:29 a.m. and I'm talking about crackhead midgets. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that or not, but whatever. I think I'm on the shit list for YouTube anyway. Sorry, Mr. Gates, or whoever the hell else is running YouTube, the YouTube gods. The pricks that are the pricks of my life. I don't care. I'm going to talk shit. Because, you know what? This is done. We don't live in the UK, alright? I could talk about fake news, and it doesn't matter. Because you can't send me to jail. You know? Space is fake, the moon is made of cheese, and Santa Claus lives in the sun. How do you like them apples, Charlie? But did I mention we're going to talk about something today? Tonight. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. You know, sorry everybody that thinks that there's going to be substance here. There will be. But I'm just crazy. I'm a crazy hippie. And I'm doing what I do. And I'm not inebriated. You know, I'm not on the ergot fungus. There's not a fungus among us. I'm high on diet soda, not pop. Not soda pop. Okay? I'm not a soda jerk. So, let's get into the subject. I don't think this is going to be too long of one, even though we're like 17 minutes in. So let's get into what my subject's going to be. I don't know what the hell that was. Don't pay attention to that. I think that was Dick Cheney telling me, hey, speed things up there, bro. Or we're going to come and get ya. B-Mac, you know, if he comes, save me, all right? So, let's get to my notes, because I really do have notes here, folks, believe it or not. So the subject for this podcast is going to be pro wrestling is real. I don't know if you knew that or not. And politics are fake. Oh, I know, I'm going to be really ruffling some feathers with that one, but whatever, I don't care. But with Election Day only a couple months away, you know, we have people like Hulk Hogan brother supporting Trump, and we have Jesse the Body Ventura supporting Kamala Harris. What does this tell us? What does this tell us that two ex-wrestlers with brain damage who did copious amounts of steroids are getting into politics? That there's really no difference between politics, and professional wrestling. This is a subject I've been thinking about a lot of for quite a while. I do want to write some books one of these days, and one of those books is going to be about this. It will be titled "Pro Wrestling is Real, Politics Are Fake," and a lot of the motivation of what made me decide to write this book is from one of my heroes, a person you might not have heard of, but he is the legendary Dirty Dutch Mantell. If you don't know who he is, then whatever, but he's a great guy. He's got a big mustache, and he's a former war veteran from Vietnam, and he's a wise man. He's a wise old man. He's that wise old man that I think me and BMAC are trying to find in our hero's journey. And the reason why Dutch Mantell is a huge motivation for me to go into this topic of pro wrestling being pretty much a carbon copy of politics is actually a story that Dutch Mantell has about a meeting with Donald Trump. Now, for those of you who don't know, Donald Trump has a very big connection with pro wrestling that goes back to the late 80s. I believe it was WrestleMania 4 and 5 that took place at Trump Plaza in New Jersey, Atlantic City, and him and Vince McMahon, you know, Vince McMahon is, he's a good guy. Not. They have a pretty close connection. And Donald Trump has been closely affiliated with pro wrestling ever since. He's came and went. He showed up on several WrestleManias. And it was actually WrestleMania in 2013 that took place in New Jersey, where Dutch Mantell, known as Zeb Coulter, was the manager of a group called We the People. And We the People was pretty much a gimmick that was based off of the Tea Party movement that was going on back then. So Dutch Mantell as Zeb Coulter, which obviously was a knockoff of Ann Coulter. He was a right-wing, conservative. Talked about the Constitution and how illegals are taking over the border and how we need to bring America back to where it was. Keep in mind, this is back in 2013, folks. And so Zeb Coulter, Dutch Mantell, went out to the ring and did his whole spiel. He wanted everybody to stand up, put their right hand over their heart, and say, "We the people," and went on a rant about all this different stuff about illegals taking over the country, and we need to take the country back. And this was a true story. Dutch Mantell went back into the back after he was done and met Donald Trump. Donald Trump came up to Dutch Mantell and said, "That was tremendous. I loved your performance. It was amazing." He likes to use those words. And that really resonated with Dutch Mantell because he was like, "Okay, thank you. It's real powerful guys thanking me for my performance." And then a couple years later, you have, Trump running for president, trying to make America great again, talking about the borders. Where do you think he got that little spiel from? Because Trump wasn't like this big, border person back in the 2000s. I think Trump was even a Democrat at one time. But all of a sudden, in 2015, this stuff really was important to him. Why wasn't it important to him? Well, maybe he was playing a gimmick. Now, what am I getting at here? Politics is a performance, folks. Do you really think when people are on these stages and they're talking about we're going to do this and we're going to do that, getting people all riled up with big crowds and everybody's cheering, that is truly how they feel? They might feel that way a little bit, But make no mistake about it, there's a very good chance that they're also playing what would be called a gimmick in the pro wrestling industry. Now, let me get back to my notes here, because I do have notes, contrary to popular belief. Now, something that Trump did in 2015 that I really think won him the election in 2016, contrary to this Russiagate stuff, is what Trump did was he played what would be considered in pro wrestling vernacular as a cool heel. Now, what do I mean by cool heel? Well, let's take the character of Stone Cold Steve Austin. Now, when Stone Cold Steve Austin first entered pro wrestling in the WWF back in 1996, he started as a heel. He wasn't a good guy. He was drinking beer, flipping people off. He was doing things that traditional good wrestlers weren't supposed to do. Yet he was getting over with the crowd. That's what you call a cool heel. A cool heel, and what I mean by heel is a bad guy. So he was a cool bad guy. And he got over based off of that. How did he get over? Well, the aforementioned Vince McMahon. He was the corporate type. He was the boss. He was the person in charge. And people didn't like the direction that Vince McMahon was taking the WWF at the time. He was making it stale. He was doing stupid gimmicks. People didn't like it. People saw him as this snob that couldn't relate to normal people. And so here comes Stone Cold, drinking beer, flipping people off, wearing blue jeans, saying, "Oh, hell yeah." And people loved it. Now let's flash forward to 2015, 2016. What's Trump doing? Well, Trump's coming up with catchphrases like calling Hillary Clinton Crooked Hillary, calling Joe Biden in this last election in 2020 Sleepy Joe, having these names that he's calling people. You may sit there and think, oh my God, I can't believe he's doing that. But what he's actually doing is he's doing something that people perceive as cool. Because here we have establishmental people that people don't like. People don't like Hillary Clinton. I'm sorry, they just don't. People don't really like Joe Biden. You know? I mean, come on. And so you have somebody like Trump who, personally, I don't find him to be a likable person, but you can't deny the fact that he's funny. Let's just look back at, what was it, last month? He was at that convention in Chicago where it was Black Correspondents meeting, and they were trying to grill him, and he was tearing them up. The whole crowd was laughing, not at him, but with him. I mean, the guy had this crowd in the palm of his hands because he understands what it means to look like an outsider, to look like somebody that, I'm sorry to say, looks cool. Now, where am I getting at with all this? Well, this is what's going to win Donald Trump the presidency this year. If you really think Kamala Harris is going to win this election with Tim Walz, who, I mean, this guy is as white can be. I don't see any charisma. There certainly isn't any charisma with Kamala, whatever the heck you want to call her, Harris. She's a very unlikable person. You know? And yes, I agree. I don't like Trump either. But Trump has a cool factor. He is an outsider. At least that's how it appears to be. Now, this is all part of the gimmick, folks. Because Trump isn't an outsider, but he appears to be an outsider. So you got the Democrats who are trying to present themselves as these, what you would call white meat baby faces, good guys, good versus evil, faces versus heels. But in all actuality, it's a work. The good guys and the bad guys are adversaries on stage. But behind the scenes, it seems like they're friends. You know, you've seen pictures of Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton with Trump. I think it was Hillary Clinton who, correct me if I'm wrong, I think she supported Trump to run for president of the United States. I don't know why, but that's something that happened. They're good friends. They act like they're enemies, but they're good friends behind the scenes. As George Carlin once said, it's a big club and you're not in it. They are in it. But it's all an act, people. None of this is fucking real. Do you understand that? You know? I mean, let's look at Roe versus Wade, which the Democrats allowed to happen. They allowed that to happen, to be overturned. Why? Because then they could come in as the valiant good guys who will save the day. Vote for us and we'll bring it back. Even though they didn't do a damn thing to make sure that that didn't happen. Do you see where I'm getting at here? You know, they want to act like this is a very important thing for them. Let's not forget, somebody like Hillary Clinton didn't support abortion until 2016. You know, very ironically, when she wanted to run for president of the United States. She didn't support gay marriage until 2016. Hell, I think Trump supported gay marriage before anybody else did. Think about that one. Now people are going to say, oh, it sounds like you're supporting Trump. I'm not supporting Trump. I'm not supporting anybody. I'm not fucking voting. I'll be in my bathtub this election season, smoking a joint and listening to whale noises. Make no mistake about it. I don't care because it's all fake. I don't know what else to say about that other than let's just keep going over this whole charade. Because that's what this is. It's all a charade, people. Is that charade? Charade? I don't fucking know. It's all a show. It's fake. You know? Despite the title of this podcast, of wrestling being real, we all know wrestling is fake. I mean, most of us realize wrestling's fake. I think if you go into some southern states, they still think wrestling's real. Don't tell me wrestling's not real. Wrestling's real. Stone Cold and Vince McMahon, they don't like each other. But we're not talking about those dipshits. Because those are the same people that think Trump is this savior. He's gonna, I don't know what the fuck they think he's gonna do. But they think he's gonna change things around, and don't hold your breath, people. Because Trump is a businessman. And don't trust businessmen. Don't trust politicians. Don't trust institutions. It's 2:46 now, and I'm getting crazier and crazier. But, it's fake. It's obvious. It's staged. This is as real as the sky is blue, folks. Vote blue no matter who. I say don't vote and show these con artists that their game is done. And maybe, just maybe, we'll get somebody, I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. I really don't. And I don't want to sound grim here, folks, but I really think two things here. I think society is sick, and I think politics are broken. And I don't mean this in a literal term of I want everything to be decimated, but I think things need to tear down as far as structure goes. Sometimes when you're really sick, you need to get sick to such a point to where you're at base level and then you can rebuild. That's my personal opinion. We need to get back to community. I'm an anarchist. And what does an anarchist mean? Anarchists don't believe in the federal government. They believe in very small state government. What anarchists believe in is community government. That's what we need to focus on. Screw federal politics. Fuck the Fed. Fuck the state for the most part. Support community. There are old people out there right now that have bills that are so high they don't know what to do. They have leaks in their house for water that, they don't have the money to fix it. People are being taken advantage of. If we were to get together as a community and start helping each other, we could build from the inside out. What we're trying to do with federal politics is build from the outside in, and that's just not going to freaking work. I really don't know what else to say. This is a long podcast. I don't even know if I'm going to end up uploading this because I might sound like a fucking psychopath. I might end up getting banned. But, you want to talk about creepy and weird. How people are acting right now is creepy and weird. The fact that people still have faith in federal politics and think that voting every 4 years means jack shit. It's creepy. It's weird. We need to re-evaluate our minds. It was Joseph Campbell who said, you need to tend to your own chickens. So let's start tending to our own chickens. Let's start looking at our own household. What's wrong with us? What's wrong with our community? That's what's wrong with the whole country, because the country's a big place. Okay? You're going to get people that are going to be so mad at me, they're going to say, you don't know what you're talking about. You're the problem. If I'm the fucking problem, then why haven't things worked for the last 40 years or so? You get people yapping about fascism. I love hearing fascism. Trump's going to bring in fascism. Do you know what fascism is? Do you? Do you read history books? There's facets to fascism, but ultimately what fascism means is a convergence of government and business. Okay? So if you think that one single politician is going to bring in fascism, which is already freaking here and has been here for at least 50 years, you're fooling yourself. We can talk about oligarchy, we can talk about all that, but we're living in a fascist state. Look at what happened back in 2020 with the police situation and the riots. Was that not fascism? All these corporations, right now, do you know this? That, I believe it's in Nevada, they're trying to have tech companies move to Nevada to start companies there that will have their own cities with their own jurisdictions to make their own laws. Look this up. This is a real fucking thing. Okay? Now think about what that means in terms of what fascism really means. Okay, let's really think about this. Let's just be calm. Let's start thinking about what it will truly mean to turn this thing around. Because it's complicated, but when things are complicated, you need to simplify. And we're not simplifying things right now. Nothing will be simplified in November. Doesn't matter who freaking wins. If Trump wins, it's whatever. If Harris wins, it's whatever. It's the same fucking thing that's going to happen. And in another 4 years, the same thing will happen. Until everything implodes and we're left going, what the hell? Before I end this, let me ask you something. This is a serious question. How's your financial situation going on right now? How are your bills right now? Are you making ends meet? How about childcare? What's your bank account like? What about your hospital bills? You know, I'm going to get into a little personal story here, but I had to file bankruptcy 2 years ago because of medical bills. So things haven't been going all that right in my life. And the thing is, I know I'm not the only one. Bankruptcy rates are as high as they've ever been. People are literally having to leave their house because they can't afford mortgage. They can't afford rent. They can't afford taxes. They can't afford utilities. You know, this is personal for me, folks. Not that I had to do this, thank God. I know people that have had to sell their plasma. No fucking joke. Sell their plasma to pay for bills. Now, do you think that Trump or Harris is going to fix that? I don't think so. I really don't. So I know this isn't a message for hope, but this is a message for awareness. And the first step to solving anything is to admit that there is a problem. And for those of you that don't want to acknowledge the problem, you are the problem. So let's do the first step and admit the problem, and then we'll go from there. And we'll start our 12-step program. And that's all I gotta say about that. Sorry, BMAC. I know this is a little bit of downer. I try to be funny, but I don't know. This election season just got me really, really ticked off. I'm taking off my sunglasses here, folks. Because people say you see the soul of somebody in their eyes. I don't know if you can see my soul. Doesn't matter. I'm taking it off. And I'm looking at you, whoever you are. And I'm telling you right now, think before you vote. And let's admit that there's a problem that politics isn't going to solve. Don't let anybody trick you otherwise. And I know I already said, that's all I got to say about that. But that is now all I got to say about that. So until next time, folks, embrace the absurd and free your mind, and your ass will follow. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.